Hi all, I am Rahul Vijay Nair. I own two food trucks in Bangalore. It's called the Bite Club and That Pizza Truck. I've been running the show from 2015. Started off with a Goan cuisine and then understood what the customer requires and then moved into continental food, Italian food, and then later on to Chinese and barbecue. So that is what I've done, and then realized that there is a uh, interest. There's an interest of for pizza as well, Italian crust pizza. So I've gone ahead with a new venture called that Pizza Truck. So if I were to speak about myself, I actually had. Uh, always wanted to be in the hospitality industry for the longest time, and I I have about 8 years. I had about 8 years experience in working with pharma companies. So this has always been there in my mind that I someday I will start something of my own. And once I made that decision to quit the company, uh, this was more of an easy thing to do. This my heart kind of I just followed my heart, and one thing led to the other. And then at that point in time, food trucking was quite new in India as such. And then you had some channels back then which would promote food trucking in US. Uh, where they had a show called Eat Street. I'm sure you might be familiar with it. So that was also catching up, and then that craze got on to India as well. And with that, I was one of the pioneers who started the food truck journey in Bangalore. So that's a little about myself. And if you look at the screen over here, this is the first ever event which we had back in Jan or February 2016. And it was a very massive scale event where we could not. So that is the kind of crowd we had to we had to cater to. We had a huge queue. So we had a huge queue, and then we sold out in about 2 3 hours. So that's about us. We started off uh, with parking on the roads and realizing that we could probably serve to the people, but then the issue back then with us was that people were, though we would probably mention where we are on a particular given day on Facebook or Twitter or this thing, people are not going to follow you. So, and then if you keep, since we are a mobile truck, and if we have an event where it's a pre it's a if you have a prepaid event, you would probably choose that over parking on the road, because you have not much idea as to how many customers you would get on a given day. I mean, basically on a weekday and weekend, we will have a little difference, but that's how it works. So over a period of time, we started doing private parties, and then going to the concerts, and we started tying up with event management companies. That I will talk about little later in the slide, and I'll just tell you how this idea started out. So, so idea, the how it all started. So as I told you, I always had an urge to start something of my own, uh, and uh, and the this has been there with me for the last 4 5 years, that before I could start doing this business, that I wanted to do something of my own. And I always knew that I was good at customer service, and with you know handling people, and that was my forte, and always had a liking towards food. So that was my first choice, that if there is something which I would do, it'll be something to do with food. So yeah. So then uh, after I decided what I wanted to do, And as I told you earlier in the slide, in the previous slide, that um, there was a market for food trucks back then in 2015. It was like something new coming in India. There was a lot of excitement brewing in India, in Bangalore as such. I was one of the pioneers to do start a food truck in Bangalore. And one thing, so I always had the talent and the passion towards food. So this made me thinking that instead of, we should probably start something fresh. New, the idea was new, so that's how I started off a food truck, and did not take a cafe or any other models which the QSR models which are available in the market in a shopping mall or something. So other reason why not take a brick and mortar model, which is basically like a QSR shop in a shopping mall, or all those busy centrally the business districts, like in Bangalore it is like the NG roads, and the Koramangala, all this kind of places, the posh places, taking a space there, the rent would be higher. This is a one-time investment when you are looking at the food truck. You are actually, and it's an upfront cost, right? With the food truck, you initially pay something, and then it's an you don't have that issue later on. You don't pay rent for your truck every month. So that's why I thought I'd probably go with the food truck. So with my savings which I had after quitting the job, and I was able to start something like this. So that is why I chose a food truck over a brick and mortar model. Moving on. So the main thing which we all would discuss, the first thing to start off, once you identify that this is what I wanted to do, I wanted to start a food truck. Uh, First thing which was there on my list is identify and purchase a vehicle. So with when you want to identify or purchase a vehicle, there are two things which you need to look forward. Either you can go straight forward for a new vehicle out of the showroom brand, or you could go for a second-hand vehicle. When you are choosing a second-hand vehicle or a new vehicle, it is all depend on a lot of factors. Like I chose I chose a one second. Give me a minute. I chose uh, I chose a second-hand vehicle over a first-hand vehicle, and I'll give you my reasons as well. Uh, I I wanted to do probably within 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers of where my base kitchen was, where I was residing. So I didn't want to travel much, and it didn't make much sense for me to invest on a vehicle. uh, as long as it is mechanically sound and it is good, that is more than enough. And if it's got a good foundation and a strong body, that is all I wanted. So I didn't want to go for a new vehicle because this is not something which I'm going to drive on a regular basis. It's going to be parked, and we're going to uh, deliver our food, make our food and give it to our customers. So I was not really particular about spending about 10-15 lakhs on buying a new tempo traveler. My purchase probably would have been less than 2.5 lakhs of buying a vehicle back then in 2015. So that's how I decided. It's up to you. Then the kitchen layout, which is the most important thing, and how do you come up with a kitchen layout is based on the cuisine you decide, cuisine or the menu which you decide. So that is one of the most key factors of how you are coming up with a kitchen layout. Because when you are doing something on a food truck, and when you have a brick and mortar place, there is a lot of difference. First of all, you are cramped up for space in a food truck, and then you need everything to be within your hands reach within a food truck. So with a brick and mortar model, you can do a little modification, and there will be little more breathing space. Here, there's hardly space for two or three people to stand in the truck and do work. So one person's work should not affect the other person's work. So that is how it is, and so it is very important that You think through what you want to do. Say if your plan A menu did not work, your plan B menu should work. So it should accommodate whatever you're doing, your kitchen layout, whatever you're doing. It should accommodate plan B or plan C. Like if I started off with a shawarma truck, I'm just giving an example over here. If I started off with a shawarma truck and that kind of did not work out over here, I can remove the shawarma equipment and then I should be able to do maybe a South Indian, or I should be able to do a North Indian food or whatever sells. So that kind of comfort it should come. And I should, once I made an investment, that is my thinking. I should not go ahead and invest more on equipments and make adjustments to the truck. So the kitchen layout should be in such a way that it can accommodate other cuisines also. If I mean, when you plan something, you should always plan for the worst also. Not that what what we want will work. Ideally, that is how it should be, but you are striking a balance and being little realistic that okay, maybe this is something which I like, but not necessarily people will like. So you need to play around. Otherwise, you will burn a lot by doing a little more modifications and all that. The third thing is fabrication. So once your kitchen layout is done, you go to a fabricator. There are few people who my friends who have done a very good job themselves, but I never had the experience of getting things done and do it myself. So I had to rely on a fabricator. So what I did is I went to two three fabricators in my city in Bangalore, and I kind of understood the way they talk and what all are the requirements to build the food truck, get the whole fabrication done. So once you when you have two three sittings with them, you will get to understand what all is required. And when you keep going with two three fabricators before you finally make who is the better one, you will get to a fair idea as to what all is needed for your truck. You will require a stainless steel sheet, or you need an MS sheet, you need the checkered board for putting on the ground. So all that kind of things, you can reach out. You speak to two three fabricators. You'll get to they'll come up with their own ideas. They would have probably done some other food trucks also. They'll show you around. So when you're looking at all those food trucks, you will start. Maybe you had an idea till then to do somewhere, but suddenly one idea will spring up to you in your mind, and then you'll be like, hey, this is a good idea. So when you do a little bit of looking around, you'll get to know, okay, this could be better of my truck. Now when look at I look at my own truck, and I see other trucks which came out after me, I'll be like, oh, I missed out on this particular thing. This would have been better. The ventilation would have been better, because you are in a small space. If you don't have nice ventilation, you will be smoked. You will be smoked to death. So that is something which you need to look out for. You need to have proper ventilation too, and your fire. So I mean, if you keep a lot of ventilation, if it's too windy also, that is also a problem, because then your burners will no get switched off with the air passage. So you need to properly do that thing when you're getting your fabrication done. So your that is something which you need to look into. Uh, the other thing which I would say is the paperwork. When I talk about the paperwork, it is two types. So one is related to the vehicle purchase. So you need to have paperwork up to date for the vehicle. And if you are and you're going to start a food truck, then you need to have the paperwork for getting all the registration done for the food truck. So talking about the vehicle purchase, if you're doing a first hand, then you will get a RC. In the RC, if you're paying a passenger vehicle, you can reach out to the if you're getting it from Post, Tempo Traveler, or Tata Ace, you can, at least back then. This is my limited knowledge which I'm sharing to you. I don't know how it works over here. So you can reach out to the showroom people and tell them that this is exactly why you're getting this truck for, and if there is a way for you to get the chassis changed from a passenger vehicle to a mobile canteen. This is possible if you are buying a new vehicle. but not possible if you are buying a second-hand vehicle. So in my case, it was a rolled out option. So when if you're getting a new vehicle, you will get a mobile canteen registered in that term. So the modifications are okay. I mean, the RTO people are only giving you the permission to get it into a mobile canteen. They'll have a once your fabrication everything is done, they'll look into it and they'll give you a sign, and so they know that this is a mobile canteen. There are few trucks after 2016, 2017, 2 years after I started, they got a huge Iker vehicle and they made it into a hut kind of thing and 18 feet, and they got it into mobile canteen. That is only possible because they got so so when we started, it was a very new concept even for the RTO officials. They were not sure as to what was happening. So this is something when we started. So over a period of time, people understood what a food truck is and how things are. So I think it will be better right now when you can apply for a mobile canteen and it should be easy for you. So that is one of the paperwork you can get. Uh, once the paperwork is done, then when you look at what all you need to register to start a food truck, you need to have a FFSAI license. So this is a basic standard thing for even if you are a roadside vendor, you're selling something on the road to anyone, you need to have an FFSAI license. So it's a food and safety license. This based on the category. So if you are selling a mobile vendor, you probably there are the few categories. There are for five-star hotels. There is one category. There is a category for quick service restaurants like your KFCs and all that. There is for casual fine dining. All there are different categories. Maybe 20 seater and more. There is one category of restaurants. So all that. So we come under mobile vending. So we took a mobile vending license. So in Bombay, you have something called food truck. There is a new license they created. I think that comes under food truck only. So you can go for food truck. So every state they are in different processes. So in Bangalore, as such, we took a mobile vending. So in Kerala, how it is, you should probably figure out. And but in any other state where you are from, you need to figure out from the food safety officer of a particular area. So if you are in one particular area, there is a food safety officer in that particular ward. You need to reach out to them and figure out how it works. So that is the food and safety. The other thing is an NOC. NOC is required from the fire and safety department. This is in case there is a issue and there is a mishap or something, just to prevent anything, any untoward event happening to you or your property or your vehicle. You get that done. An NOC from the fire and safety. So now you get a no objection certificate, and that should be taken care of. They give you a probably that fire safety, that I'm not getting the word right now, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. That the spray which you probably get in the office, right? I mean what do you call that? The safety machine which you use. So uh, uh, that is something which they will ask you to buy and keep it as a safety measure. And then apart from that, food license is done. Safety from the food fire safety is taken care of, and then you will require insurance for your vehicle. When I talk about insurance nowadays, so you get even a kitchen insurance. So kitchen canteen insurance you get. So any untoward event happens or something, that covers the life of the people working inside the kitchen and all that. So that kind of license is a must. It will be really good if you take that kind of license to protect yourself and people who come to your place. Uh, the other license which we would also, the fourth license which I would say is, if you are parking on the road or in that particular area, it would be better that you take a permission from the SI of that particular area. So you reach out to them, tell them that this is what you're starting and this is where you want to park your vehicle. They'll probably give you 2 3 locations. you can reach out to the law and order as well as the traffic. The two kind of people you need to reach. A traffic police you need to reach out, because if you park in an area where it is there's a high traffic, and your vehicle is obstructing a lot of thing movement, they will ask you to move out. So law and order will probably ask you to park it over there, but then the traffic guy will take you out from there. So you need to have a word with both of them, and see which is the best place you can work out. So you get once you get the permission, there's no hassles as such for you to operate the truck. So that is regarding a paperwork. Hiring employees. While you are getting your fabrication work done and your kitchen layout, or purchasing the vehicle, this is a parallel thing which you need to do. uh, when I'm telling you it's a parallel thing which you need to do, is because hiring employees is the last thing I would have in the list, but you need to screen a lot of people, because uh, you want to have the right set of employees working for you, right? So just interviewing two or three, they are not people who are working in a corporate background, so they might not have the ethical, the way you deal generally with other employees. I mean, if you are a HR manager, it does not work the same way with them. They're pretty crude, and they today they are with you, tomorrow they are with someone else, so there is no kind of assurance that they're going to stick with you. So you should kind of create a repository of all the contacts you are getting through. Maybe this whole process for you to get the truck built will take you close to 1 to 2 3 months, based on how quick you're getting. And so in this meanwhile, once you get when you do this process, if you're doing it simultaneously in finding out people from different states, like you get people working over here from Assam, from Odisha, and Nepal, Bihar, so or Punjab. So reach out to them, get their numbers done, and tell them that you have something exciting for them to work, and understand what is the market rate, what do they get in a restaurant, and tell them and entice them that you tell them that you're going to get the same amount of money in working over here. So when you, or probably a 500 more, you tell them. But my only request to people who are getting into this business is that don't disrupt this space cycle by giving more. By giving more, you're not going to have him, you're not getting his loyalty for sure. You're actually spoiling the whole market by giving them more and thinking that he will be with you. He'll be there with you till as long as he wants to be with you. The day when he has a holiday, or they have the holies, or Diwali coming, and they say they want to go, they have to go. So they are not indispensable. You need to create a system where even if this person goes, your show will go on. So that is very important. And it will be even better that what all has to be done tomorrow. If none of them are going to turn up, if everyone is calling in sick, you should be at the show, or at the shop, or at the food truck, get it to the place, and get things moving. You should know how to make a burger, sandwich, and everything. When you are in that position of strength, no one can play around with you. That is one important thing which I learned during this journey. When people, and these guys are very smart, they once they know that the owner knows it, and he has a sound background about, never tell them that you don't have any idea about how food is done. Even if you don't know, you right now have Google, you have a lot of YouTube videos, you have a lot of things, you can gain that knowledge. It's not rocket science where you will not know how things are done. So it is very important that they don't get a hint that you don't know what you're doing. That's when they'll tell you, sir, this is done in this way. You don't know, sir, maybe this is how we were taught. Then you tell them this is an alternative way. Then they'll know that you know your stuff. So that is very important. You should have a sound knowledge on what you're doing and what menu you're serving. Other thing is, uh, which you need to during the setup process, which I would keep in mind, is doing my social media marketing. Right now, everything is online. When everything is online, you need to have a face out there. You can't go ahead and say my food is good. It's my grandma's recipe. It's an ancestral recipe. A lot of my friends who came home said wow to my biryani, and if I just go out and sell this, I'll make $1 million. That doesn't work. So here we need to uh, go ahead and do a lot of keep ourselves online. Keep keep ourselves online, and we should keep ourselves on. Yeah, get it. 1 second. So keep yourself online on Facebook, uh, Twitter, Instagram, and then you put your products over there, and then tell them that this is what is going to come up. I mean, if you have a USP, if you have a menu which is short, I mean, and simple, that is great. And if you have some 2 or 3 special products which has not been heard of, you promote their products through this channel. So, and then before you start off, I would suggest that you go ahead and do a soft launch. What I may mean by a soft launch is basically that what I mean by a soft launch is basically that you can have it with your friends and relatives, and then when you're doing the operations, you will find a lot of gaps in between. When you find a lot of gaps in between, you will understand that okay, this is something which we need to adhere to when we start our regular operations. I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of your time. It's just that I just got in the flow. I'll move on, and I think we should wrap this within another 10 minutes. Sorry for taking a lot of time. Uh, the next thing over here, which we are going to talk about, is running the business. So, for running the business, what I would say is that you need to have a standard operating procedure for different functionalities. So, for your recipe or your waste management, or just give me a minute, please. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. This is my first time which I'm doing something on Zoom. So please excuse me if I'm making a lot of blunder. Uh, so, so yeah. So I'll go ahead with the the thing which I was talking about. So I was telling that we need to have a standard operating procedure. Why do I say that we need to have a standard operating procedure? Is tomorrow you have some other business to look into, and then you want to trust it and give it to your relative or someone to hand over the process. You don't have to go about explaining the whole thing. So if it is all written down and documented, how the recipe is to be done, how the food is to be cooked, how the waste is to be handled, how are you eliminating the waste, and so on and so forth. So basically, if you have a process for everything written, tomorrow even if the main cook goes, you have everything written, and it helps you to maintain the consistency of your product. So you exactly know where to start. uh, Recruitment of employees, like I said, you need to ideally take people from different states. Like you can take them from Nepal, a few of them from Assam, a few of them from uh, Bengal or Jharkhand. These are the people we get from outside labor. If you take someone from within your state, they will have people. So they have their family to go to. So they might not show up to your place of business the next day. Yeah, Sharik. Hello, Sharik. Probably you could. There's a question and answer session in just about 5 seconds, 5 to 7 minutes, and then maybe you can raise your question. Okay, so that is why I prefer taking outside employees, from Nepal or this thing, rather than taking from that particular state. Uh, and then employee retention. So basically, employee retention is there. Once you get a lot of people from different states, you will figure out who is a fast worker and who is a really good worker, and then you start appreciating them by giving them a little more responsibility and awards, and make people in the group understand only if you're going to work hard and do good for the business, that then you're going to get something out of it. So there is no room for any slack. So that is something which you as a owner, or if you have a manager to look into, he has to do this duty. So customer service is very important because the way your employees look, kind of the way your employees look, behave, and go about serving the food presentation. That all plays a big role in making sure if your customer is going to be a repeat customer. If a first time customer is going to be a repeat customer, it's all based on the ambience and the experience which you're giving. The food can be the best in the world, but if if it is not given with a smile, like I am not smiling right now, it it's going to look very differently to your customer. So and then they might not want to come back to you. So that is something which you need to keep in mind. Customer feedback and its application for improvement is basically when they tell you about how a food is supposed to be made or something. If it is constructive, and if you think that there is a point in it, customer is always right. Agree with them and give them some kind of incentive for them to come back to you and try the product again. So that is something which you should do every time, because customer is our god and they are always right. That is how we should function. Even if they had a different, slightly different taste, try to educate them and tell them that this is the way it is ideally done, but we can always fine tune to your expectations. So that is how we should always be, because we are in the hospitality industry, and that is how it's supposed to be working. Okay, moving on. What are the learnings and findings, learnings and earnings over here? I decided menu based on my target location, target audience and location. So when I realized that where this is where I'm going to serve, I realized that few things like burgers, sandwiches don't work. I started concentrating on rolls, and I started concentrating on fried rice and noodles, because that is what was giving me volume. So I changed my thing based on that. So I was a multi-cuisine restaurant, multi-cuisine out food out delivery outlet. So I was able to cater to the need. And like I said, I recruited this is a repeat again, recruited staff from different states. So another thing which I did was I started minimizing my mise en place time. Mise en place is putting things in place. So we need to cut little bit of onions, chopped tomatoes, or all your ingredients a little bit. When I started, I thought a lot of people will flock to my food truck, so I kept a kilo of each. And you learn through your, I mean, that is hard learnings which I had, that you through your wastage you realize that this is not how it's supposed to be done. You cut a few in advance, and then so when you are doing 3-4 orders, you ask the second boy. If you have two helpers, you ask the second boy to cut for 3-4 plates again. So that way that this is how much your minimum wastage is going to be. So that is something which I learned. As an owner, avoid direct dealing with your working staff. I apparently did not have the luxury of having a supervisor, or a manager to help. So I wanted to cut short that expense, and I was the manager. So there's a lot of headache which you get over here, because then you have to deal with your employees' personal life, and they will say that they want an advance. They have this reason. They'll come up with brilliant examples, the brilliant reasons to kind of make you feel that you need to pay. And if they're hardworking and if they do work, you'll feel more guilty that you're not paying them, or you'll have the mindset that if I don't pay, this guy will leave me and go. So when you have a supervisor or someone in between, he can always play the bad guy, the bad cop, and you can be the good cop, and then you can always, mitigate this process easier. You can uh, this when there is a channel, there is better way of handling these people, the your working staff. So that is one thing. I think that is why when we work in corporate, we can't just go to the VP's office and directly talk to them, right? You go to your team leader to your manager. Why is this? Why there is a hierarchy? Because then you have respect for people, and then you know who you're talking to. So there is that that kind of hierarchy we should maintain. We should have. Always advocate for freshness of food served. This is a uh, this is a point which everyone should know and advocate for. So then I'm not stressing much on that. Uh, uh, Sometimes you will have your chef or your helper telling that, sir, this is okay, sir, we can go ahead and give. But you need to put your foot down and tell them that in my restaurant, in my particular thing, this is how it's going to work. And maybe you had this kind of dealing in your previous restaurant or wherever you work, but in my place this is going to work. When you keep a set rules, right, people will have respect for you and will do it the way you want. So that is something you can take suggestions from them and the best practices of what they learned in the previous place. But when you start taking too much advice, and if you take a lot of things, then it'll take it to his head. So it's better that you keep you have the control over your the steering wheel. So earnings, again, it is depending on the earnings, again, it's dependent on your on the menu and the customer acceptability. As I told you, I started selling burgers in some places and it does not work. So I realized, then I changed to Chinese, and that kind of helped me get my daily sales volume. So I was able to meet my target. So after everything, the most important question why all of you are over here is to understand, hey, how much is that I'm going to make out of this business? To be very blunt with you, that after giving everything, there's more of giving only. Once you get into this business, you realize that it is not all happy kind of thing what you see, and it's a lot of hard work, put, a lot of thinking has to be put. How do you go ahead and what is to be given to what? You have vendors to be paid, a lot of things. Finally, end of everything, you probably end up with somewhere around up to 30% is something which you can get. So that is what you will get as a profit margin, and that is all inclusive. That is if you wisely go about doing things. There is a lot of places where there is pilferages which can happen, where there can be a spillage. If you have your controls properly, if you have systems in place properly, you will get about 30% easily. So what do I want to do now that I've been into this for quite some time? What is that I'm looking out for? If I were to get a venture capital funding, I would definitely invest in an efficient kitchen management system. This will reduce the manual work which is done by the people who are into the kitchen. And there is always a place where you have error. You'll have an error when you're doing manually. You'll have a little mix up of things. But when you have a kitchen management system, that it's going to effortlessly take less time, and you'll be able to deliver more. KOTs. So KOT is basically kitchen order ticket. So that is what this will do. Delivery management system is something definitely which I'll do. This means is basically I will not want to go ahead and pay my hard-earned money to the food aggregators like Swiggy, Uber Eat, and Zomato, where you end up like if you are going to join them right now, probably in a place like Bangalore, they would charge you somewhere around 30% of to get you in to this thing. And then they have this ads running every week. Once they have this ads running, you are kind of pushed to even give promotional activities. You need to give another 20% for coming up on the first screen of the customer's tablet. The first 5 restaurants to show up saying that you're giving 30% discount. So that becomes a lot of issue. So if I have my own delivery management system, yes, it's going to be an upfront cost. There's going to be a little cost in the initial stages, but everything comes back to me. So I would definitely want to invest on my own fleet of delivery boys who will go about doing things. Then I always also want to have a centralized kitchen, which is going to be my base kitchen, which is also going to be a cloud kitchen with multiple brand names. So for a biryani, I would have one. For a South Indian meals, I'll have one. For all those things, and then I will also by this time know where in the city I will have a good, like in probably in one part of the city, biryanis are what works. So I will get my biryani hunties to that in that truck, and I'll go and sell it in that particular area. And some places it's going to be the students and PGs and all that kind of places, or a tech park. They would probably want to have a snacking kind of food, maybe rolls or pizza or something. I'll take one more mobile truck which is over there. So based on that, I'll have multiple food trucks catering to the needs of the people in that particular locality. So that is what I would probably be doing. I'm sorry, I think I overshot by 5 extra minutes. So that is all I had, and we'll just have another 5 minutes. If you have any questions, please let me know. Uh, so can you? I can answer any questions you have right now. So that's all I had to say about my journey of running a food truck.
Hello, Rahul.
Hello, hi.
Yeah, so I have a question. So you said you changed your the kind of cuisine multiple times.
Yeah,
So how did you convey this to the customers? I mean, how did you manage to inform the customers that you will be
see,
selling
there's a
any
yeah,
a new item? Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead. Finish your question, and then
yeah. So how did you advertise the change in your menu,
no
and
change.
that too that happened multiple times to you, right? Yeah, I think
Multiple
you
times.
understood
When
my
I
question.
say multiple times, is say basically with a food truck, at least in Bangalore per se, people
Yeah,
are kind of okay. They are not associating you to be like a. I'm not competing with a KFC or a brand like Ananda Bhavan or something. So I have that kind of leverage where I can change with my menu. Reason being that I'm not at one constant place all the time, right? So and then if I'm going
yes.
to a concert or something, I can't go ahead and sell them idli sambar because we are going for a music concert with a EDM kind of concert and all that. And if I go and sell idli vada to them, it's not going to work. So I created my brand, my logo in such a way that I was just trying to say, I mean, if you look at my logo, it's basically a shark. A shark can eat anything. A shark eating a burger. Is that something common? So that is not. So that was the ideology behind the thing. So shark, if you put anything, it eats anything that comes its way. So my cuisine was basically anything that comes my if whatever is mouth watering, whatever is lip smacking, that is what I'm trying to sell. So that brand message is to be done by a marketing guy. If you are a marketer yourself, you how you position yourself in the market by doing Facebook ads or something, telling them this is what we are going to do today. This is what you're going. But if you are saying that you are a South Indian, if you call it Desi Thali, if I call myself Desi Thali, already I am kind of bound by my name that I'm going to do something related to Thali and Desi. Tomorrow I can't be selling pasta with that name. So that is something which you get a kind of because you're a food truck and you kind of have that kind of leverage. But if you are a mobile, if you are a brick and mortar place where you have a regular, walk-ins for your thing, there you can't. Once you make a menu, you cannot keep changing it. Here, you have the flexibility because this is not the same customer you're seeing the next day, and this is not in the same locality because you're on mobile on wheels. So sometimes I have gone to events which has taken me to Pondicherry, it has taken me to Coorg, it has taken me to Ooty. So these are all the places where I've been. And some there was you have this festivals going in Udupi, the surf festivals, and in Goa. So there's a lot of colleges which calls you. So if you're going ahead and giving a menu which you've been following for a year now, I can't change it because college is calling. You are going to incur loss. So with food trucks, you have that flexibility of changing your menu, but it all depends again on the name which you select. I hope I answered your question. Is it Jabir
Yeah,
who?
yeah,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
very much clear. Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Anyone else who has any questions?
Hi, Rahul. I have a question.
Yeah.
See, now, how do you decide where where you're going to set up your your food truck? Do you change locations on a daily basis, or is it like a weekly? Is there somewhere you plan where you're
So,
going to be? And if you're planning a new place, now
mhm.
how did your, for example, your marketing thing come into the picture? As in, do you make
Yeah,
announcements in your,
yeah.
say, Facebook or Instagram or whatnot?
You answered it partly. So I put it on Facebook, I put it on Instagram and Twitter, but the hard truth is no one actually watches that. And there are two things over here. So when we started, there were a limited amount of trucks which were available at that point in time. So we knew who the other guy is, and we always would, if I'm going to his particular territory and parking it over there, so it was more of a mutual understanding that he's calling me, inviting me over there, so that the customers over there get a different feel of a different truck, and they don't feel burdened by eating the same food from the same truck. So we had this community among us, and then we would interchange our places. That would ensure that we see the cash flow increasing, and there is some it is a round robin format which we would follow. So one day I would probably be at Koramang swapping my place from with other food trucker, fellow food trucker. He will come to where I normally operate from, and then the third day some other guy from HSR will come. I'll go to HSR. So that round robin format kind of helped. But as the number of players started increasing, and then there are people out of this community which we created, it was very difficult because they would go ahead and park the place. The main issue with food truck and parking on the roads is someone parks it on the road, and someone puts their car on the road, and then you're left stranded because people think that you will be at that spot, and then one fine day you go about writing on Facebook saying, hey, we are not on this particular park, we are at the next park with next junction. People will lose interest. So, which is why I told you that we should probably reach out with an agreement with the SI of the place, because then that place is kind of permanently parked for you. When you're dealing with the law and order cops and traffic cops, no one can mess around. So these are things which I did, but again, it is not a foolproof idea. You can keep trying that. So I personally had three places where I would park 2 days at a given place, and I would not park every day. So if I'm parking at point A in one place, point B I would park at some other place, point C I would park at some other place. Only on point the fourth day I would come to the first place. So this kind of gives an excitement for people to come to me. If they see the truck standing there every day, this is my concept again. I mean, others. I mean, everyone has a different point of view, but this is my point of view. Basically, if I felt that if I don't give that exclusivity that I am, if I'm always available over there, then they will not feel the need to come and have it from me. But if I keep them kind of, keep, I'm exclusive, and if I'm not available all the time, I will have more sales. And it kind of worked for me for the first 2 3 years. And then there were a lot of trucks coming, so I had to kind of wind up operations on the road. And then to a different model where I was actually tying up with event management companies, and being their food partner, food and beverage partner. That kind of helped me do this. In a city like Trivandrum, I saw a lot of food trucks over here, and it's so nice to see everyone enjoying food over here, and it is not causing any kind of mayhem or distortion to traffic. But back in Bangalore, you know how things are. You can't park 2 3 trucks in the same road. It becomes a law and order situation. So that's about it. I hope I answered your question, Shoaib.
Thanks, Rahul. Yeah, that answered my question.
Is there anyone else with any questions? I think that's it. Thanks for being part of this webinar. If you have any questions with regards to food truck and how you want to start something during this COVID times, you could reach out to me. I have gone ahead and given my link over here. It's www.facebook.com, the Bite Club in inverse, and then the other truck which I have is called that Pizza Truck. So reach out to me in these numbers, and if you have anything to do with food truck or you want to start something as a cafe or any outlet, I would be more than happy to help you and give you my advice on whatever you venture you want to get into. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rahul.
I really appreciate you, being active for so long. And I hope I'll, try to minimize my, my uh, skills over here, and then I'll be able to finish the meeting within 20-30 minutes, and and be on point. So I thank everyone for joining this meeting. Thank you. And reach out to me if you have any questions. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye.